this entire presentation that we have just finished discussing, namely, that there is the union of Kabbalah Seimach Shamayim, and that Moshe Rabbeinu is mamshich this rotzen, this God's rotzen in Kabbalah Seimach Shamayim. That the Kabbalah Seimach Shamayim is not superimposed, but on the contrary, it is readily accepted. How is that possible? This is possible because there's a sense in the neshama of its connection to its source. And therefore, Kabbalah Seimach Shamayim is not that you are accepting something foreign. Kabbalah Seil, you're accepting a yoke, something foreign to you. On the contrary, accepting yoke means that you're involved in that which is essentially your place, your truth. The reason it's called Kabbalah Seil, as Rebbe explained, Kabbalah Seil, accepting the yoke, if it is fully appreciated, why it's called Kabbalah Seil. The answer to that is a very interesting thing. Because despite the fact that you are fully appreciating it, you do not really fully understand it. And the only way for you to relate to it is by taking what you're given. You cannot really fully digest it, fully present it to yourself in your seichel. Your seichel is not capable of understanding and comprehending this even. Because this is a higher than world. It's called Makif. We discussed already the principle of Makif. It is that which presents the fundamental reality, not in the process of creating a world, but the source of that. That the source of that is not possible to be presented in a seichel format, in an organized format. Because in order to present something in an organized format, there has to be an order. There has a beginning, in the middle, and the end. Whereas this fundamental reality, truth, does not have any definitive locations. It is not locational, and it cannot be identified from its locations. This is why this is accepted. This can be related to only through beetle. Beetle means that you are allowing the higher, the source, the sense of truth to define who you are, rather than you defining what you seek. However, okay, so we're up to Oisama base. So what we have, so to speak, accomplished thus far that enabled us to get to Oisama base is to recognize that even that which we cannot fully comprehend, nonetheless, there's a means by which we can relate to it. Ultimately, this is very important. The reason there is such a means by which we can relate to it is that there is an inspiration, an impetus from the source to present it to us. In other words, it's not something that we discover from our vantage point. It is something which is being presented from above. And as we discussed yesterday, there's a rotzon. There is a super intent to provide the inspiration that comes from above. The Gemara says, I'm surprised I didn't think of it before. The Gemara says, Yeise misho egel roitze linak, haporo roitze lehonik. You have a calf and you have the cow. What? What happened?
Noise.
I'm sorry? Oh, there's noise. You have a calf and you have the cow. The calf is suckling from the cow. And the calf is all involved in this suckling. And the cow is standing still, letting it be suckled. So you would think that the cow is totally disinterested in what's happening. Just allow the calf to do its thing. So the Gemara says, don't be fooled by what you are observing. The desire of the cow to allow the calf to suckle is greater than the desire of the calf to suckle.
Shlomo, could you mute your microphone, Solomo Banda?
Oh, that's where the crackling sound is from. How come I don't see anybody? Okay.
Yeah, if you want to see somebody, but they may not be making themselves visible.
Okay, now I see Moro. Okay. This is a very important concept, which is true throughout the whole Seder Hishtalshuls. As we mentioned already, that when it came to Matan Torah, which is very emotionally touching, when it came to Matan Torah, Eden were counting the days to a Matan Torah. When is it going to come? So you would think that the Eden are all excited about it. But the Rebbe is calm about it. So the Rebbe said, when it comes to Matan Torah, when you come to the place of Har Sinai, I will be there before you come, before you. Because I really want to give it to you. This is a principle in Mashpia Makabel. Despite the fact that the one who is gaining is the Makabel, the Mashpia is merely bestowing his grace to the Makabel. Yet, the inspiration of the Mashpia to bestow this grace is greater than the inspiration of the Makabel to receive it. Phenomenal thing. What's behind it? What is behind this desire of the Mashpia to be Mashpia? The principle in this is again a very simple motion. An engineer designs a car and he tests every detail of the car, the motor and the gear and everything. He knows clearly not only that it is going to work, but he knows how come, what will make it work. Yet, the first time that he puts it on, and the car is actually moving and the gear are all cooperating and move the car, he's all excited. Not only excited, he's taken aback, shocked. Why are you shocked? You designed it yourself. But we know for a fact that this is a very exciting moment. The reason, the excitement in this moment is a transition. That moment is a transition from concept to factual. What's so significant about this transition? We have to understand that when the car actually moves, and we know all the gear and all the thing that, all the structure that made it move, it is not the structure that makes it move. It is the reality of its presence in the world in general that makes it move. These gear are utilizing that which the world provides. The reality that the world provides. To recognize that the world provides for this kind of a function that can actually move utilizing these gear and these facilities is revealing something in the world that you're not otherwise aware of. It's revealing that this world is made, is supportive of anything that you can possibly imagine. The reason that this world is supportive of anything that you can imagine is that the creator of the world has created a world, a functional world, an enabling world. The world is not a neutral a bystander. Anything that occurs in the world, the reality of the world is what enables it. I can go on. This is a very, very exciting principle. Very briefly, I must mention this. Bereshit bara Elokim, at the beginning, God created as a Shamayim, the heaven and the earth, the Shamayim and the earth. So Oretz, we understand that the Rebbe created the Oretz, and the Torah tells us because we are functioning on the Oretz. What is the point that he created the Shamayim? How is that part of our experience? The answer is, the Shamayim is what enables the functioning aspect of the Oretz. Okay? For further elaboration will be another time. Just this is the point here. And this is the power of the Makif that we are talking about. Makif is a remote reality, you would think. But this Makif reality is what enables all the functionality that takes place in the Pnimi, in the functioning level. As you mentioned many times, you could not take a step if not for the reality of the Makif that you recognize. Okay. Now we go inside Samach base. This entire principle that we discussed, that there is the name from the beetle and the presentation from above and so forth, who the Makif the Ak is true at the level of what's called Makif of Odom Kadmon. Odom Kadmon means the pristine man, which clearly by name already alludes to the fact that this is the principle of man as it is in concept. And therefore, this is the Makif, this is what enables the whole development of man. This development, as we have discussed, goes all the way to the point of beetle, Shemaim, and so forth. This is true in the Makif of Odom Kadmon. Because Odom Kadmon, the Mikol Mokoim, it is a Makif. But even though it's a Makif, but Mikol Mokoim, even so, that it's a Makif, which is a higher presence than world, Yesh lo shaychus el ho'elamis. It nonetheless has some kind of a relationship to world. This is the principle of Makif Odom Kadmon. It's a Makif that enables world. Therefore, this is a Makif that is not remote from world, completely dissociated to presence, to existence. It has a shaychus el ho'elamis, it has a connection to world, relationship to world. Hagam shehu b'bchinas Makif. But although it is in a Makif Bechina. Bechina means in a manner, which means it is stands off the Mitzias. It is aloof from the world. Harochik, which means it is distant from the world. It provides an aloof inspiration to world. Yet still, as we said just a moment ago, a line before, despite the fact that it is Makif, still, Yesh le'shaychus el ho'elamis. It has a relationship to world. World is recognizable from the vantage point of this Makif. This is why it's called Odom Kadmon. Odom means that it already identifies with a structure of world. Odom. That's what Odom stands for. Odom is the structure of head, body, and toe. Moyach and lev, and then the feet, then the koiches, the functioning koiches. So this Odom Kadmon, despite the fact that it's a makif, by definition, there is a relationship from it, between it and world. Even though it is distant from world, and its relation to world is in a makif manner, nonetheless, it has a relationship to it. In other words, this makif identifies that which is within its embrace. Ve'al-kain, okay, the second line, Ve'al-kain, and therefore, because that it has a cognizance and understanding of world, this is why Nimshech Mishom, from this makif of Odom Kadmon, can be drawn as a ha'ora begilui, some reflection, some inspiration, some illumination, begilui in a recognizable manner, b'neshamas. Since that it has a world principle behind it, in it. A world principle means something of a created existence. This is why it can actually communicate with neshamas. But neshama is a created entity. As supreme and ruchnis it is a created entity. And as such, it can only relate to that which has the created quality. No matter of how refined and supreme it is, it has the created quality. And then the neshama can relate to at the highest level. The neshama can create to something that it can identify. Yes, it is real, but it has a beginning and it has a middle and has a soul. It has a definitive presence. This is called Odom Kadmon. This Odom Kadmon discussion that we had started off from before, when the Rebbe says that there is two makifim. Makif that has a shachas to world and makif that is remote from world. And the Rebbe started discussing, and he had the question, how did makifim affect the world? So he started speaking about the effect of the makif, the lower makif that is closer to world. This is makif the Odom Kadmon. This makif has a cognizance of world. And this is why the neshamas can have a concept, a relationship to it. So these two lines summarize essentially what we discussed for a long time before. Avo But, however, Bechinas Tehiru Ilah, that Bechina, that is called Tehiru Ilah, the supreme Tehiru, purity, the Makiv, the higher Makiv, the Makiv that is not relating to worlds at all, the Makiv that we spoke about till now is a Makiv that is identified for the purpose of allowing world to come into being. Again, utilizing our world level demonstrations of the concepts. In the world, in our experience in the world, we build houses, we build cities, we build countries. Before we build anything, even a country, there has to be an environment that is suitable for developing this country. In other words, there is an environment that says, yes, this is something that we can relate to, something that we can define borders to it. Every country, even a continent, has a border. The border identifies, so to speak, the facility what the continent provides. Without that border, it would be in no man's land. In order to have an identity, it has to have a border. There has to be a definitive makif that identifies it. But then there is that which is above that definitive makif. The truth of existence. The truth of existence is not worldly at all. World cannot justify, per se, its existence. World is a creation, yesh me'ayin. There's no basis for being, but for the fact that it was created. It has no borders of its own that justify its being. What then gives support to the world? It is the divine will to create a world, which is not world at all. And this is what the Rebbe says. Avo but, bechinas tehiru ilah, the supreme, because tehiru is purity, the supreme reality. Sheho bechinas hu yigul hagodol, which is the aspect of the great encompassment. Shelifnei hakav, that precedes the kav. Kav is the line of divine expression. This is Igul HaGodel. This is the encompassment that encompasses not by being created to be encompassed. It's encompassment by its own right, so to speak. This is the original reality. This original reality is also a provider and also a definer of world. Although this is original reality. Within the original reality, there is also different madrigas. And this madriga we're talking about is the lowest of those madrigas, in that it actually gives definition to world. So this is a original reality. This reality provides for the possibility of world. Okay, in the middle of the third line. Although that this eagle hagodl, this great circumference, this great encompassment, that is way before the cow. There is no process there. There is no line of expression. It is also providing for the existence of world. Makiv le'ilomis. And this is also acharat tzimtzum, which means it is not the divine presence as it is unto itself. It's a divine presence once the divine presence has identified, has agreed to create a world. So that you contract, you limit the divine presence to the point that it allows for identifying a world. So even though this is Makiv le'ilomis acharat tzimtzum, ein lo zeh shaychus of ha'ilomis. Nonetheless, there is no relationship between this Tehirei law, this supreme divine truth, and world. And from this is not drawn ha'ora begili, any reflection in kind of an expressed manner in the world. Because this is the way the truth, the divine truth is unto itself. There's no shaykhus to world. So this is, so to speak, a self-contradictory statement. Once, on one hand, we say this has the quality, b'bchinas, it qualifies as a makiv le'ilomis, the makiv for world, acharat tzimtzum. After the tzimtzum means that you have already limited the presence, the original divine presence, allowing for identifying world. And yet, it has no shaykhus to world. How do you make sense of these two statements? It's a makiv le'ilomis, acharat tzimtzum, and ein lo zeh shaychus le'ilomis. It is makiv for world, and it has no shaychus to world. And therefore, from this cannot be drawn anyhow or any illumination to world. How is it a makiv to world, and it not having a shaychus to world? It's after the tzimtzum, which means that you already, so to speak, limited the cognizance of the presence of the real truth, of the divine truth. And yet there's no shachas the world. And at the same time, you call it maki b'lo yilomis. It's a maki for world. How do we put all these things together? It is makib to oilmas and no shachas to oilmas. If it's no shachas to oilmas, how does that makib to oilmas? So to put this in some kind of a perspective and cognizance, understanding, recognition of what we're talking about, we have to make the point. And the point is that yes, indeed, Elokus itself is completely remote from world, from creation. It's a completely different reality. It's not a created reality. It's a completely different realm of reality than world, which is a created reality. Despite all this, that does not have the created quality in it. It is the original truth itself. Within that original truth itself, there is a principle which says that creation expresses a divine truth. Divine truth is way above creation. But creation has the ability to express, to reveal the divine truth. As we shall see soon.
Is it time for questions yet?
Yeah, I guess so, because the time is such. Okay. I thank you for speaking up. I was looking, I don't see anybody. At least I know there are people there. Okay. Yes.
Our question manager is asleep at the switch, so how to speak up. So I have two questions that I asked in the chat before, and the first one goes back to beginning when you made a reference to the neshama being a creation, and this is something that I don't think I ever understood. How is it possible? On the one hand, we say the neshama is a chelek elikam mal mamush, and yet we say the neshama is a creation.
Right. Okay. Point blank question. this is what we were saying just now, that in Chelek Elokam Mimah Mamash, in Elokus itself, there is a concept, a principle of the significance of creation. Elokus, to be fully expressed, it is more fully expressed in creation than in being superior to creation. The principle of creation, yesh me AYIN, that expresses the power, the truth of Elokus more than anything else. As the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that the creation yesh me AYIN, that points directly to the Mebushin himself. Because hu levadoi, only he, and directly himself, is able to create yesh me'ayin avechad, to create something from non-existence, complete total non-existence. All other creation is a variation of that which preceded it. Yesh me'ayin means creating without a precedent. That is only the capability of Atzmos. This is the contradiction that is being presented to you, and this is what you noticed. Yes, on the other hand, on the one hand, it is there in the source. On the other hand, it's a complete novelty.
And that's only true of the neshama and nothing else?
No, this is the truth of Elokus. And that truth expresses itself to the neshama.
Say the last line again.
This is the truth the way it is in Elokus. And only neshamas are privy to this truth. This is not even world. This is not even world. This is neshama.
That's what we mean when we say it's a chelek eloka mimal mamash.
Oh, does it? Yeah.
But not that it's not a creation. We don't mean to say that the neshama, being a chelek eloka, is not a creation. It is a creation.
It's a creation at the level on a divine level. In other words, it's a creation which is preconceived within the divine truth, not conceived as part of creation of world.
Okay.
You shake your hand as if it makes sense, but this is what we need to understand.
Okay. I think I understood something from what you said.
Okay, very good, very good, very good.
That's it. I'm stopping there. Somebody else can take over if they have questions.
All right.
It says before the Igala Gudel Shalifna Kaf. Then it says that this Igala Gudel is after the Tzemtzem. Can it be explained how the sequence are? It's before the Kaf there is also after the Tzemtzem.
Right. The Yigul HaGodel, Yigul means that which encompasses, which surrounds. Surrounding means that you have a definitive function. Definitive function is after the Tzimtzum. The truth of Elokus itself, as it is unto itself, does not have a definitive function. The expression that is said regarding this is it's a direct quote. Loizehu ikir holokus shubayre elomis. Translation. The ikir holokus, the core of holokus, is not the fact that Boire elomis that he can create world.
And what is the kaf?
The kav is a draw from Elokus within which the various levels of world can be identified. Kav means a line. A line, by definition, means has an upper part of the line, the middle part of the line, and the lower part of the line. What makes it a line? Why is it defined as a line? It's defined as a line because it identifies it. It refers to a source, a middle, and an end target. That's the kav. The source is the way it is Lifnei HaTzimtzum, where it is in the Lakus itself. Then the line goes through the Tzimtzum. And there in Tzimtzum, various qualities are identified there, like the spheres and so forth. And then it comes down into world.
So
But
in the kaf there, like to say the top of the kaf is before the tzimtzum.
that's right.
So but now we're saying that the Igel HaGudel is Lifnei Kaf, and we say it's after the tzimtzum.
Right, that's a very, very powerful question. The Igel HaGodel is Lifnei HaKav. The principle of eagle, that it has a content, it surrounds something. Surrounding something is already identifying that there is something there. Something there is identified by tzimtzum. So this is why there is this contradictory thing. But to answer your question, really the correct answer to this question is that the creation itself is preconceptualized before the tzimtzum. This preconceptualization of the creation before the tzimtzum, this is what maintains the connection, the relationship between the created and the creator. The created world is not a creation. This is the difference between Kedusha and Klipa. Klipa becomes completely separated from the source. In Kedusha, there is no separation from the source. Even though it's a creation, The reason there's no separation from mitzvot is because the lowest level of kedusha is already preconceptualized in within the source. To give a mashal for this concept. Again, an extremely simple mashal, but it allows you to further develop. When you learn, like you're learning it, or you're davening, whatever it is, we're reading words. Sometimes you're not reading words, but you're reading sentences, paragraphs, concepts. We are not even aware that this is presented, that these sentences are composed of words, which are composed of letters, an organization of letters. You're not even aware of it. Because we are focused on the concept that's being presented rather than the means by which it is being presented.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about it. It's just, I'm asking you to take this.
Although it is impossible to present the concept without the means by which it's presented, without the words and letters. That's why we say that oisies are rooted all the way up in the Etzem. It's not possible to present anything without the means of presentation. Oisies. Although, really, while we're presenting, we're completely oblivious to the oisies, and we're focused on the concept. So this is to demonstrate the principle that within the source itself, within the concept itself, there is the means by which it is being presented, the oisies with which it is going to be capable to be presented. Although it is not correct to say that it's composed of these oisies. What then is it in a nutshell? In the source of sources, there is the means by which this source of sources can be revealed. That's the oisies that are contained within the source of sources. The expression that is brought down in Chassidus very often, Aneshama Malaya Oisiyos. I'm sure you came across that. Shama Malaya Oisiyos. Shama is a divine truth. Malaya Oisiyos. Because the AYIN and Lokus is to reveal things further down into the world. And this is similar to what we just now before quoted, that the AYIN that the potter is manic, is letting the calf to suckle, is something which is inherently necessary, inherently significant to the potter. This is the muscle to the highest in Yon. Elokus wants, so to speak, to reveal itself. This revelation of Elokus is something which shows the totality, which reveals the complement, the ultimate truth of Elokus, that it can be revealed all the way down into the world.
I spoke recently to a Malamed about
sorry?
how he's teaching Aleph Bais. And we spoke about learning Komatz Aleph U, and he's saying there's a lot of pressure from the outside not to teach Komatz Aleph U. But he was telling me that after he teaches Komatz Aleph U, but the next stage, he's not teaching again Komatz Aleph U. He goes already on the functional aspects.
Who is this? Who are you talking about?
A Malamed.
Okay.
The question is even in the next stage, like when he's connecting with other words, should he still go with Komatz Aleph U, or afterwards functional is enough?
Oh, okay. This is something which the Mlamdim have to be alerted to, especially in the Hungarian and Polish. They completely ignore the digduk format of the words that they read. And the structure of the word is completely swallowed up in its sound. So if you ask me, the truth is, the way it is in Lubavitch, it is not the right way to do it. A child has to be demanded, has to be insisted that he read the word correctly. Not only the Nakudas, even the Shvo no and Shvo nach. A good Malamed makes a child emphasize the Shvo no and Shvo nach.
I didn't ask about it. I'm asking if after he teaches them Komatz Aleph U, Pasach Aleph A, so then he doesn't say again Komatz Aleph U, Pasach Aleph A. He says U A. And I'm asking if on that stage, if it's already time to leave out the Komatz Aleph U, just go U A.
You mean the name, the name of Komatz Aleph U?
Yeah,
You don't have to name it.
Huh?
It's not necessary to name it.
Oh, it's not necessary. Only
No,
in the
but
beginning?
it's necessary to pronounce it.
Yeah, I understand. But only in the beginning it's necessary, only when you start out to say Komatz Aleph U. We learned that it's necessary to pronounce Komatz Aleph U, not to start U, A, just to say,
Right.
So I'm asking, if he learns already Komatz and Pasach Aleph, is it still necessary to say Komatz Aleph U, Pasach Aleph A, U, A, or?
I'll tell you, it's not necessary. The reason it's not necessary is when you say Ashrei, for example, you're clearly aware that you say Ashrei. You have to say it. It's no longer necessary to point because you know clearly what you're saying. You're not saying a word Ashrei. You're saying Ashrei. This Ashrei is the same as saying Aleph Shin Resh Yud.
So only when you start out, then it's necessary to say Komatz Aleph U.
Oh. The saying Komatz Aleph U is the point of the Rebbe said that the child should know that the letters are a real part of the Torah. And they have names.
So that's necessary only when you start out to teaching each Nakuda in itself.
That's right. Afterwards, automatically you know that they're part of the Torah.
Yashakoya.
I have in the description of the kav, the structure of the kav, the top being the source from Elokus, the middle being the Tzimtzum that gives out the spheros, and the bottom, which is the coming into the world, where is in which stage is the neshama there?
Oh.
Talking neshamas Israel.
Right. And this entire process of the Kav, the Tzimtzum and the entire process of the Kav, this is the process of a Lakus coming into world. As a Lakus comes from the world, there is an Eliki element that goes from the top to bottom. It's all a Lakus. The Neshama is in the Lakus aspect in this whole process. Let me give it again, the motion for this.
I didn't catch it.
Okay. I'll give you the muscle, you'll get the point. We are reading Ashrei. Ashrei Yisrael Yisach, composed of letters and words and so forth. When you're reading Ashrei, you're not even reading the words and the letters. You're reading the meaning of the word. This meaning of the word, this is completely a neshama inyan. This is a seichel inyan. This is not part of the structure of the word. So this is the principle, that as it comes down from a Lakus into the world, it comes into the world and becomes composed of words and letters and so forth. Along this whole process, there is the key principle, the key spirit that carries it all through. Just like when you say the word Ashrei, you have letters and so forth, but the principle is the meaning of the word, the neshama aspect of this word. That neshama aspect of the word is rooted all the way up in the highest levels and goes all the way down to the lowest, expressed through the letters and the words and so forth. This neshama aspect, this is where the neshama is. This is representing the Elokus all the way down to the world.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
hope I was able to explain to you the houses. In the world, you build houses. A human being never builds a house. He builds a home. What's the difference? A house is a structure in a physical structure in the world. A home has a human spirit into it. This human spirit is what inspires the entire process. That means that in this human spirit is contained all the way up, contained the highest inyan, all the way down to being a house, a structure.
Okay.